Hey everybody, welcome to the armory today. Well, I gotta tell you, the whole family has been wiped out with some kind of nasty crud cold, and it has not been a very fun week, but we're pushing forward and everybody's still alive and kicking, and hopefully everybody's on the downward trend of this. And oh, it tore up my throat. Something fierce. My throat and my sinuses have been terrible. But that's not why we're here today. So let's get to the video today. Today we're looking at the British P14 receiver that I did a video on previously. And I found something that is kind of unique. Now, generally, I like scoped rifles. Not a big surprise to anybody, I'm sure. I own plenty of collectible rifles that don't have scopes on them, and they're going to be left that way. But generally, for my shooters, I like scopes. As you get older, the eyes don't do as well as they used to, and that's a terrible thing. But I like having a nice little optic on my rifles. And the one thing I do not like is no drill optic mounts. Now, they make them for a lot of different rifles, and I understand the premise, and I do agree. I don't like drilling into a rifle that is collectible on any level, even be it the cheapest of them. Like, I've got Mosins that I won't drill. I've got stuff like that. Even the cheap ones, if they're intact, I don't like drilling on them. If they've been modified or cut up in some other way, I think it's fair game to do whatever you want with. But if they're original, I like to try to keep them original, no matter what the collector value is. But the P14 and the M17 has always been unique in that it's got this gigantic rear sight kind of built into the rear of the receiver. Now, commonly when someone wants to put an optic on this, they'll cut this whole rear sight assembly off of the receiver and then shape the back of the receiver, and it does permanently destroy the rifle and the value of the rifle and whatnot. We all know this. But there's a couple interesting, unique things about the P14 and the M17 that lend itself to a no-drill scope base. And in fact, I went ahead and bought one because I was actually pretty darn impressed with what they'd come up with. And I gotta say, I really, really like this. So, this is by a company called BadAce. And it's a low profile. Here's the instruction. Low profile P14 M17 mount. And because the way this mount is designed, it actually provides a really good, solid platform for the scope rail without having to cut anything off. So, what I've started with today, I've just removed the rear sight assembly. It's just got this screw. One end of it has a nut on it, and this screws through the top right there. And I've removed the leaf spring that gives tension to the sight. And don't lose this little screw. You're going to need to reuse that screw. So, with all those removed, you have this bare receiver assembly, as you can see. And the good and the bad. Mine seems to be machined crooked just a little bit. So I'm going to have to do some specific extra work to this to make this correct. But this base is made out of steel, and it actually has just a little tiny dovetail right here, and that goes into the track, the dovetail track where the spring was. So it would go something like this. And then right there you can see mine was machined just a little bit crooked. And that's, well, that'll make a person grumpy every day of the week when their leaf spring's machined a little crooked. But it's okay. It can be fixed. Got to come up with a creative way to fix it. But we can definitely straighten this out. Not a big issue. But the back of this, where this little fork is right here, these ends are actually drilled and tapped. So this will line up with where this through bolt went into the receiver. There's two independent screws, one from each side, that'll screw into this steel base right here. And then the original rear sight screw, the leaf screw, will go down into this hole right here. And once again, someone who was obviously paying attention, the hole is slightly ovaled for what I would have to imagine is just manufacturing variances in the production run of these. And the whole assembly bolts down real nice and flat and tight, just like that. Obviously mine being crooked, it's not going to do that just quite yet, but this is what it's supposed to do. Now with this, they also send you a little piece of rail that bolts right on there. And I got to tell you, I'm pretty impressed with the guy who came up with this. This is pretty awesome because we can retain the originality of these rifles. We don't have to cut them. We don't have to drill them. We don't have to destroy any value that these have. And that, I gotta say, is a giant plus, especially for the P14 and the M17s, that you really do have to destroy the receiver in order to put a scope on it, and now you do not. So, there you go, guys. That is a fantastic solution to make your P14 and M17 optic ready, and man, it really just does not get easier than this. So we've got 3 points of attachment. It's a steel base. Comes with 3 screws to hold the rail in, and they do appear to be beveled headed screws that will self-center and keep the rail on nice and straight. And obviously when you assemble this, you want it to be nice and clean, and use the Loctite. Loctite is your friend. Always use the Loctite. Otherwise, I mean, these vibrations and these harmonics will just wreak havoc on any screw they can come across. So this is I really got to say, I'm impressed with these guys and the engineering they put into this, because this is a fantastic solution to put an optic on these. So there you go, guys. If you've got a P14 M17 or you want one in the future and you do like optics, either find yourself a rifle that's already been bubbaed, like this one right here. These can be picked up super cheap. Once someone cuts that off, it really does diminish the value of the rifle. But if you've got an original, that is uncut, unmarked, but your eyes aren't doing as good with the iron sights as they used to, here's the option for you. And it's really, I gotta say, I'm really impressed. So I'm gonna have to do some work to this before this is correct, but that's what this is all about. So, all right, I will catch you guys on another video, and I'll see you later. Bye.